first edition of the Badass Entrepreneurs Club. The whole point of this podcast is to bring entrepreneurs' story to light, showcasing to those who are the upcoming generation of entrepreneurs what this journey really is about. It's not all roses, unicorns, and rainbows. There's a lot of ups and downs that happen with this, and we want to show what really does happen, the wins that you can have, but also some of the losses, just so you go into this with a really open mind and open heart as you go on your own journey. We're also going to be highlighting a lot of amazing brands so that you can see these brands that you admire in different industries, how they came to be, and where they're going into the future. So I'm very excited to be starting this podcast with a bunch of my amazing entrepreneurial friends. And unfortunately, my team decided that I should be interviewed for the first episode, which I'm still cringing about. But I have brought on my amazing friend, Anne Genge, who is one of the creators of Alexio, which is an amazing cybersecurity company. So I have the honor of putting her in control of this whole situation, and I'll let you take it away, Anne.
Well, Angela, I'm actually the one that's really honored. You're one of the most impressive and badass women I know. So I'm excited to be a part of this in general, but even more so to be the first interview. Really, I guess my first thing would be to understand and have other people understand what your professional journey, like what got you started. How did we get to here?
Perfect. So as a lot of people know, I wanted to be a dentist since I was 2. So when I actually got to graduate dental school, it was this massive dream come true. And I went forth into the world and was an associate, scared of my own shadow, scared of my own words. And so I got stuck working with kids for quite a long time, 4.5 years actually, because with adults, I was so nervous. I would sweat, I would start stuttering, I would turn red. It was so uncomfortable. And like any great overachiever, you reach a point where you go, you know what, something has to change. And for me, the unfortunate thing that had to change was I needed to step out of my comfort zone and start working with adults. And the practices that I had worked on, they had always given me the kids, so that transition wasn't going to happen with me being an associate. Oftentimes when I make a decision, something has to change, the perfect opportunity presents itself. And it did. I ran into one of my old bosses and he said, you know what, I'm working at this broken down practice. I don't really want to be working there. Do you want to take some hours off my hands? And I said, sure, why not? So when I drove up to this practice, I felt a little bit foolish because I'm sitting in the dark in an area of town I've never been, and I am scared to death. I'd never been to this part of town because it is the scariest part of town. I'm thinking, you know what, someone could like totally take me out here and no one would know the difference. So when he finally drove up beside me, I was really quite relieved, and we went up into the practice. And when he opened the door to the practice, what greeted my eyes was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. The carpet that was once beige was blackened from years of dirt and cigarette smoke, and it had never been cleaned. Unfortunately, the whole clinic was in poor repair. The first patient that I laid back in the chair actually grabbed the tubing to the drill to support it because they knew it didn't work properly if they didn't. So not only was the environment in poor repair, unfortunately, so were the patients. Majority of the workplace the previous 3 years looked like a little Pac-Man had gone in and eaten underneath it because it had been placed on a bed of decay.
Oh my gosh.
The funny thing is though, everything I looked around at in the practice made me feel full of hope and sunshine. And I'd never in my life wanted to own a practice. People asked me about that. I was dancing professionally while I was a dentist. And so I was always like, well, the dentistry thing, I can do that for the rest of my life. Dance, I can only do for a small period of time. So dentistry was definitely the love of my life, but I wanted to make sure I achieved my dreams in dance at the same time. So that bug to be an entrepreneur in dentistry just didn't exist until I walked into this situation.
So there was some kind of big moment, or